This is the fourth in a series about creating selected response items. This video focuses on matching items. Matching items consist of two parallel lists of words or phrases that require the student to match entries on one list with appropriate entries on a second list. Premises are the entries in the column for which the match is sought. So these appear on the left, and you want to make sure that your premises are the longer entries. That's because the cognitive load of holding in a longer piece of text is higher, so you want to make sure that they don't have to read a whole lot of long text when they're looking for their answers. If you have the long text on the left, they only have to remember one piece of long text, and then they can look to the right to find the word or phrase that matches. The responses are the entries from which the selections are made. They appear on the right, and they are the shorter entries. They are compact. They take up just a little space on the page and can tap a lot of information very efficiently. They're relatively easily and objectively scored, and they're relatively easy to construct. I often use matching items to test for knowledge of vocabulary. There are a number of limitations to matching items. They're used mainly for accessing low-level knowledge. What extent do students know related facts, associations, relationships? It encourages the rote memorization of low-level factual information. And sometimes it's difficult to find significant homogeneous premises and responses that relate to your educational objectives. It's essential that your matching items have clear directions. They need to make it clear what the basis is for the students to match the premises and responses, and you want to make it clear whether each response will be used once, more than once, or not at all. When you're formatting your matching items, remember those premises, the longer text should be on the left, and the list of responses should be on the right. Each premise should be identified by a number, and each response should be identified by a capital letter. There should be more responses than premises. That is to reduce the likelihood of correctly guessing the final several responses through process of elimination. When you're formatting your matching items, you want to have between 4 and 10 premises, and the responses should be in some kind of logical order. That could be alphabetical or chronological. All of the premises and responses for a set of matching items should appear on a single page. Don't split a set of matching items across 2 pages. The set of matching items should have a clear set of directions. This is an example of a properly formatted matching exercise. Notice the directions. On the line to the left of each historical event in column A, write the letter from column B that identifies the time period when the event occurred. Each time period in column B may be used once, more than once, or not at all. So in the left, you have the premises. You notice that there are fewer premises than responses. And so in this case, the premises are Boston Tea Party, repeal of the Stamp Act, enactment of the Northwest Ordinance, and the Battle of Lexington. In the right, they have their responses, and those are written in chronological order. What's wrong with this matching exercise? First of all, the directions don't specify the basis for how you're going to match or how you're going to make the response. You also want to make sure that it includes whether or not responses can be used more than once, and there's an equal number of elements in both lists, and list B is not in alphabetical order. The directions need to explain the basis for matching. How do you respond? And whether each response will be used only once or more than once. You want to include more responses than premises to reduce the likelihood of students using a process of elimination to make matches for the last few premises. And you want to list the response in some sort of logical order, alphabetical or chronological typically. To improve this, you expand the directions. Column A lists major brain functions. Column B lists different brain structures. Indicate which structure primarily serves which function by placing the appropriate letter in the blank space to the left of the function. Each brain structure listed in column B can be used once, more than once, or not at all. And you'll see that in column B, there are more answers than there are premises. What's wrong with this item? When you look at this, it does say that you can only use the answers once. But the biggest issue is that column B has the heavy reading lift. So you want the text where they have to do the most reading on the left. You also want to make sure that your responses are in some kind of logical order. So you would want the president's names in alphabetical order. Place the shorter responses on the right and the longer premises on the left. What's wrong with this matching exercise? This one is all over the place. You can tell this by looking at the responses. Soil, apple, steaming, lettuce, minerals. Those don't all go together. In order to make sure this is a strong question, you want to make sure that it's a homogeneous set of responses. Students would have a very easy time with this because each item only has one premise that could possibly match with it. And also, the responses are not in alphabetical order. The premises need to be a homogeneous set, and the responses need to be a homogeneous set. It's not really possible to work with the example on the previous slide to make it more homogeneous. So instead, it's now been changed to focus on one specific feature of the previous responses. So instead, they're matching the items to their food group.